been a marathon of meetings and discussions with women throughout the day today, but amazing to be part of this panel too.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
yeah. So basically, I started off my journey for water has been, from my own individual experience. I wanted to be free of tankers for my home. So it all started from a need, and I was able to do this. That we became a tanker-free home, and I was able to convince the community also to do rainwater harvesting. And we didn't need tankers for the last 6 years. We don't buy common tankers, and we are in a very tanker prone area in the central business district of Hyderabad. So these two achievements made me think that why not work on a citywide approach for water conservation. And so I broke down Hyderabad into smaller micro watersheds because I believe in local action for water where everyone needs to act. I mean, it's not every time we talk about our right, but we don't talk about our duties. And government also does not have the tools to build behavior change in people. So you have to create that close net connect with people to build behavior change. And also bringing women in the game, that's first of all, bringing myself in the game was also a starting point for me. But once I started seeing the success, then I thought that this is doable. And when I started picking up lakes, and that's when it became a huge challenge. I didn't know whether me as a single person would be able to address such a huge challenge as bringing in lake restoration. Will I be able to make this happen? So this choose to challenge this year, what we have as a theme for Women's Day, I think is all of us are innately empowered to challenge ourselves. But if we really stand that challenge, we can make it happen, is what has been a learning for me. And bringing women still in the urban areas to work, together is still a challenge because they are already overburdened with several activities and actions at home and work. But I still believe with a lot of awareness, we can build this community of women to come forward. And also there has been women in the government who also have come together. So we've made a nice network of community, government, and roadmap givers like us. Often there is a huge gap in giving a roadmap. I mean, nobody knows what to do and what is the roadmap and where do we begin and what are we solving, and how are we solving. If there is a clear roadmap, I see that a lot of women can come. And working across the lake communities, I realized one thing, that we're actually working across the entire strata. Right from the very high-end communities to low-income groups to the middle-class families. So awareness has to be different for different sections of the society is something I learned. And how to work with women in different strata in the society. I had to have different strategies for various layers in the society is also been an understanding. And when I went to work for the lake, honestly, I didn't know what are the challenges that I was going to face. I didn't know I would be even faced with, not direct but indirect threats. There's been a lot of things that I had to go through, but then I believed a lot in non-confrontational work. So this has helped me connect with a lot of people that didn't actually connect with me initially have come together. Initial support from 0 people at the lake to today 10,000 people that will work with me in the lake, and lake communities around the lake, the communities around are willing to work with rainwater harvesting, because these are the flooding zones. We have to solve real problems on ground. So I believe in doing work on ground that creates that real change on ground. And urban communities, there is not much help in terms of these groups that can come together. We have to create such groups where we have to build the awareness in communities. And in a local sense, if we can pull up scientific data for them and tell them what's available to you, what was there and what is lost, and what are the challenges today, and how you can build towards a water sustainable future. He thinks that if we can educate, there is a lot of women that we can pull in and work with them. I have seen a lot of reciprocation when it comes to the lower income groups. There are a lot of women from slum communities who have come together, work with us because they are worried for their children's health. There's been a lot of dengue deaths that happen around lakes. So we work with them, we train them, and we tell them how to keep their surroundings clean in all the challenging situations where you have sewage all around them. And we worked with the government and solved a lot of problems for them. And there is the stagnant water. Today we are trying to create sort of children's play area there and create floating islands there, which will take care of this dengue issues. So there's a lot of in the slum communities and lower income groups, what I have seen is if you handhold them in their problems, and if you get them to understand, talk about their children's health and water issues, they do come forward and they're ready to work with us and take things forward. When it comes to younger students and younger crowd, younger women, we do a lot of boot camps where we talk about leadership skills in water and what are the opportunities that are there in water. I myself, starting from champion for water conservation, today I have a startup, a social startup called the Rainwater Project, because I thought this is one way to look at a city-wide approach and solve several issues, because now I can connect with the builders, I can give solutions, I can consult with them and bring, because everyone who has a rooftop has to become part of the arena, and the public spaces where there is no voice for these water bodies, we have to become the voice and we have to create. And also I'm working towards all the water structures and water bodies or even lakes, creating interesting public spaces around them, where getting back the cultural connect in local communities. I mean, how they were connected with water earlier. Can we, if we bring back that connect today, like we have the Batkama festival, which is like a flower festival, which is very connected with water bodies and such. And a lot of women are involved in this, and creating and working with them and bringing back this culture connect with water, bringing back that social connect with water. And a cleaner environment is something everyone wants, but they don't know how to make it happen. So working with small localities and bringing the change and covering ground in that entire locality. And we've made schools do rainwater harvesting, where government schools where they don't have the they don't have the funds, we get the funds and make it happen. In public spaces also, we try to get grants and we try to get CSR, get the funds and make it happen for the public spaces. We do a lot of work with public participation also, and have achieved a lot in the through COVID. Around 7 communities around the lake, we've been able to do a major rainwater harvesting, and they have seen an improvement in bores, which didn't happen in the last 8-9 years. So that's been a huge win for us. And by doing rainwater harvesting, a lot of urban flooding has reduced. So in the coming year, we will see a lot more urban flooding that's reduced. So working on ground, though it is challenging, but I'm seeing a lot of success stories as it come up. We are able to pull more and more people showcasing these successes. And if we can create a replicable model in a locality, this can be replicated across the city is what I believe and work towards. And also bringing in the government faculties to work along with us, which is hugely challenging. But we've been, even the bureaucrats turn around when you have a lot of people working with you, and when they see the success on ground, they also come around and help. Funding support may not be, but they do partner with us in a big way and work with us. So building behavior change in communities, then bringing in government and we as roadmap givers. It's like a 3-part plan that we have been working on, and it's been quite successful till date. Is there any?
Okay, so thank you very much, Kalpana, Ramesh. Before the questions come on, I'd like to just wind up by summarizing what you've said. You've spoken about tanker-free localities that you've created. Congratulations. So we have this wonderful mix of an academician in Dr. Fauzia and a person like you who has done so much of work at the ground and very successful at that. Then the microshed approach that you spoke of, how you divided the whole city into various microshed areas, and that made it a more practical way of solving the problem. Then you spoke about the how important it is to bring women in, and that's the same thing that Dr. Fauzia also stressed on. Okay, you spoke about the lake project. Congratulations on the lake project, where 10,000 people are now working at the ground level. And you have spoken about the difficulties in building groups for community development in urban areas as compared to rural areas, and what steps you have taken to overcome that. And you spoke about the women from the lower socioeconomic strata who are more forthcoming, especially when it comes to taking care of their children's health. You have spoken about the boot camps, which are successful, and we hope that we'll be able to take your help in doing the same with our water policy center as well. You also spoke about the rain harvesting that you have personally supervised in various schools, and very importantly, the way in which you have brought in the private sector through CSR for ensuring water harvesting in public spaces, because it's not very difficult, it's not very easy to get funds from them. So you have spoken about how once we create a model that works, you can attract funds, you can attract help, and the way in which you have involved the bureaucrats as well. You have spoken about building behavioral change in the community, which you have successfully shown through your projects. So I congratulate you, ma'am, and hope you will be able to associate with our center as well. I'll ask Surbi to then moderate the question answer session. Aruna, can you do that? Aruna.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Have a question answer session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Surbi, are you there?
Yeah.
Uh, is there have any question?
No, there are no question in chat box. If anyone has any question, then they can just write in chat box or let us know. Like raise your hand so we can unmute you.
Dr. Fauzia, I have a question for you.
Yes,
One of the thing that have been mentioned in the recent budget is about tap water connection, household tap water connection. So here
Yes.
critics point out to how it is not feasible if you simply say that you've increased the tap water connection, because there are other issues as well. Okay, so you have to ensure that the tap, actually there's water coming from the tap, that there's clean water coming from the tap. So these things have not been covered in the budget. And these are the common and normal problems that people face. Okay, just like the problem that you face in electricity when they say 100% electrification, but in fact you have so many days, so many hours when there's no electricity. The same thing is happening in water. So is there something that you can, about tap water, can you say something about that? Can you shed some light?
Yes, so I'll just thank you so much. I think that's something that worries all of us. That's exactly what happened in Swachh Bharat mission also. You know, you create a toilet doesn't mean that everybody has the access to safe sanitation. So here in the first phase, the government is planning for 14 crore household tap connections in rural areas. And they are saying that they want to ensure 55 liters of water per capita per day.
Okay.
So that's there. Now the fact is, from where is this 55 liters of water per capita per day going to come? And that's exactly what you are also worried about. So they, of course, they're talking about laying down pipelines for thousands of kilometers long pipeline. That's definitely not a feasible option. You can't be bringing water from long distances to probably to villages and then give them water once, twice, maybe a few times. Recently, I was doing a session, so just wanted to give a little background. National Water Mission, along with the Jal Shakti Mantralaya, they have come out with this Catch the Rain program, which is on rainwater harvesting and water conservation structure. So this Catch the Rain program was launched in December, and I have been closely working with them on the Catch the Rain program, where they have collaborated with the Nehru Yuva Kendra for spreading awareness and implementation across India. So there's one round of training that I have done for all this. And one aspect of it that I have been emphasizing is that if the problem is local, then the solution also has to be local. People were self-sufficient. There were traditional water harvesting, water structures which were there. It's only that now we have dissociated ourselves completely. So as you know, Kalpana was also mentioning that we need to bring people closer to those resources. We need to create that sense of ownership again in the people. So we need to sort of tell them that, okay, this is your resource. Whatever government promises to you, you have to make your village, your town, your city water positive. And that's something that you can do only by harvesting your water whenever it falls. Because in India, there is a peculiar thing about India or South Asia that we have a monsoon season. Unlike you look at UK or Singapore or many other places where your rain is equally distributed around the year. But we have just few months. And out of those few months, I would say only 15 days. Now with climate change, a lot of intense rain is happening in a very short duration of time. So you have just about few days to harvest this rain. And if you don't harvest it, then of course it flows downstream. You just lose it to runoff. So it's important and very simple procedures that we have been telling, like I have been personally telling this Nehru Yuva Kendra volunteers who would be going from one village to another, is that very simple things, like even if you think that putting a structure is of course an expensive thing, you just take your rooftop rainwater, dig a small pond, just look at what has been the soil profile in your area, and if it percolates well, then just dig a pond and put a pipe there and just allow it to recharge. If there is an abandoned well, if there is an abandoned tube well, if it's an operational hand pump also which is there, you can just take the water from the rooftop. It will just cost you about 8,000-10,000 of rupees, but you can connect it to a functional hand pump also. You can connect it to a abandoned hand pump also. Likewise, your traditional structures that you need to. So very, very simple solutions, simple rain gardens, simple trenches that you can actually dig just to stop water wherever it is falling. So we have been trying to work very closely, because I'm based in Delhi, also very closely with the National Water Mission as well, helping them out in whatever way possible to ensure that we are able to sort of create water repositories or create water banks, which can then provide water to villages. There is an example I have of Rajasthan, only Ajmer. Recently, I was doing a training for Ajmer, and they told that they did have water on tap a few years ago. So when that was installed, it worked for about 3-4 years, and after that, the whole infrastructure collapsed. Because when you're getting water from very long distance, it becomes truly unsustainable. So you have to be like precise, you have to find local solutions to these problems. There's no way you may just get a photo shoot option where you click a photo and then you publish it and you say that there is 55 liters of water on tap, just as you mentioned about electricity or anything else.
I would like to add to what Fauzia was saying. It is, see in Hyderabad, if you see this, government is promoting a lot of lift irrigation and getting water from 200 kilometers away, and thousands of crores going O&M costs and all that. That apart, but how sustainable are these? Are you going to erase rivers? I mean, is not our population going to double in time? And what is the solution then? I mean, why are we not encouraging local solutions for water and how people can become sustainable? Like in my home, if I didn't buy tankers for the last 10 years and not heavily dependent on this lift irrigation product, I've become a sustainable home, and these things have to be encouraged at a local level. And I think the water that comes to you, two problems. One thing is it comes at a very subsidized cost. So people don't see the value, and now you're giving it free. So people really don't see how precious this water is that comes from, it has to go through some 6 pumping stations, and look at all the travel for water and what you've spent on that water. And the government cost is 48 rupees and you're giving it at 10 rupees or 12 rupees, which is not okay. First of all, the subsidy. Second thing is this excess water that is being given to the cities. Can you even see the biggest problem that's a wastewater challenge here? How much of wastewater is going to be generated out of this? Already our drain networks are collapsing. So here, when we do local, we build local awareness, we're also talking about grey recycling. That's why I talk a lot about organic, gardening on terraces, where the whatever the grey water that we produce in that building, can we use it for other purposes? Can we make organic gardens, or can we use it for greenery? So recycling is a very big thing we are missing. I mean, we have to start talking about recycling today. And this government may be okay spending this many crores on lift irrigation. The next government that comes in might not be in favor of this. Then what happens to us? So I think becoming sustainable is something we should start promoting. And at a local level, I'm seeing that it's been a winning, story, because I've got churches, temples, schools to participate. They're all becoming water positive. And, whether it's a corporate, a hotel, a hospital, we're talking to each one of them. And any construction that's happening, we're telling the builders to become water positive. You know why? Because if it's the builder's decision, it's one decision. Tomorrow, if it's handed to a society, 50 people have to think about this decision. So we are pushing all the builders in that locality to do. And the 7 colonies that we have worked through COVID, now they are saying that the bores that used to dry up in November, they're still running well and they're fetching good water just by doing common area injection bores that we did, through COVID. So when they see the results, they are actually encouraged to do more. So we are very used to, as a society, talking about rights. What is the government doing? It is their job. Now, why would the government come and bother about rooftop water on your terrace, which is free to you? And if you just simply manage that water or manage your recycled water, of course, the government has to do a lot in the larger arena, but at an individual level. So I'm seeing that in a local level, if 100 houses made a change, I can see a big impact here. So I think this is what we need to work on, decentralized solutions and build so much awareness that in this one locality, we have, we are working on 3 step wells. We are reviving them. We are reviving wells. We've revived a lake. We've done 40 recharge bore wells and pits. We have done some cutoff trenches and that, and we are seeing impact. So while we talk so much, I think what's on ground should be focused on. I think all the research institutions and stuff should come back and handhold us in this entire, local changes that's happening. And I think it'll be a fantastic thing if everyone comes together. We have almost 18 national research institutions just in Hyderabad. But how many people come together to handhold us? I mean, there's no mechanism for this connect, right? Somebody has to build this mechanism, and maybe women should come forward and make these teams in a smaller way that people can come together, where there is research, there's knowledge, there's CSR, there is problems for community. So we have everything. You just need to connect the dots, right? So yeah. I feel we have problems, we have solutions also. We just need to connect.
Thank you, Kalpana. There are some questions in the chat box. Aruna, will you ask them to speak?
Ma'am, yeah, I'll ask the questions. Here is one question from Sanjeev Srivastav. How we can motivate government to involve in decision making and spending on water?
So who is this question addressed to?
Ma'am, he didn't mention.
Is there?
Is Sanjeev sir here?
There, Sanjeev Srivastava was there. Can you unmute him, Aruna?
Yeah, ma'am. I'll unmute him.
Ma'am, I think
Sanjeev,
I'll
sir?
take the question. If that question is there already, let me take it. I think probably he may be having some connection issues that are there. So basically, he wants that to know that how we can sort of get involved in the government's decision-making process when it comes to spending on water. So a couple of things, and I think Kalpana also has beautifully highlighted that the problem is, I would say the problem is of the people more than that of the government. We don't question our government. We don't form citizen groups, and we don't go and sort of help and support, and because government can only do this much. But the problem is huge, and until unless we don't get citizens to start participating or helping the government in implementation of their projects, we will see some results, but we would not, the results would not be of that magnitude. So I'll just give here two examples of my own personal experience. Two examples I will try and share. The first one is of this rainwater harvesting, the Catch the Rain program also. So I was at the mission office. I had gone to the National Water Mission office for a totally different purpose. I wanted to interview them. Mr. Sanjeev, in fact, you have just come back. So I just went to interview them on gender and water, basically inclusion of gender, mainstreaming gender in water. So that was the objective.
Dr. Fazia,
yes,
Fazia,
yes.
My question is very specific. When the government of India is claiming that they are likely to spend 50,000 crores for drinking water to reach to household, what way women can be a stakeholder in decision making how this money is spent? That is my precise question.
Yes, so that's exactly what I'm trying to, that's exactly what I thought that I would try to say, that citizens don't question. So unlike what you have seen in other countries where citizens come forward, they form citizens group and they question. So one was this example which I was trying to tell is that Catch the Rain program, when they decided and they have thought of rainwater harvesting, I went for a different purpose, but I said that you are planning, how are you planning to really engage with the Nehru Yuva Kendra? You're spending so much money, how are you planning to engage with the Nehru Yuva Kendra youth? And they said that we will give them some talk anyway, they are non-technical people, so they will then go and spread awareness. I said, I am happy to do training program for them. We don't have money to give you. I said, I don't want money from you. I have no requirement of money from you. Right now, I just want that if you're engaging with people, they should be trained well. So he said, okay, you can do a session. I said, no, I'm not going to do for 600 people together. You give me these people in small groups of 50 each. So in fact, they finally broke them into 11 groups that they gave me. And they clubbed few states together. So it was, I literally imposed myself on them that if you really want your investment to be effective, then please go about doing it like this. So that's one example that basically citizens do. Likewise, accountability. So when you know that a project is being done and in public domain an amount is there, then people should question. People should question as to what happened, or ask for, you have now right to information, ask, find out. But not many people, especially the middle class, I would say, we have a very laid back middle class. We don't go out and ask questions. The second, I know in Gurgaon, there is a group, I Am Gurgaon, very active. Recently, a DPR was ready to build drains in, after the Gurgaon flood, which was there, the urban flooding, they had actually come up with a complete DPR, and they were supposed to spend 250 crores in making more drains. So when these people reached out and they said that, why are you going ahead and building these drains? Because we don't really need any further concretization. You are just making more impervious surfaces. So how will the water really percolate? So then they reached out to us and we did a small research for them. And we came up with a few plans, because they have some creeks that are coming from the Aravali. So how that could be cleaned up, and how we could look at places which could be rainwater harvesting was one of them, that how people, community, they can keep the rainwater harvesting confined to. And that particular DPR was changed completely. So we could actually, and the commissioner was very, very proactive. He listened to us. He was willing to accept our suggestions, and it was there in the newspaper also that already they have started cleaning those creeks. So I think it's citizens who have to ask questions, reach out to them, hold them accountable till such time that we can help them out also, provide them solutions. So it's not that we just create barriers for them, but also go with solutions, that this is something that we don't recommend. This is something that's not going to be effective. You have this budget, do this, this would be more effective. So reach out to them, and for that, I think people have to come together and spend their weekends planning these things. So more proactive, I would say, citizen group is required if we really want that the money that is apportioned for a particular task gets used properly. Any, yes, Mr. Sanjeev?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There are some other questions in the chat box, Surabhi.
Yeah, ma'am. The next question is for Kalpana, ma'am. Can you tell us about the Rainwater Project? What specifically you are working on?
So the Rainwater Project actually is a social enterprise. It stemmed out of this work that I'm doing because I did create some free community portals where I trained plumbers so they could take up rainwater harvesting and help people, citizens who want rainwater harvesting to be done. And I created several such platforms, but I saw that these are not working. So where there is the rainwater harvesting itself is a very unorganized sector, right? During the season, you see few people doing it randomly, and then you don't have people who with a scientific approach, they don't have any hydrogeologists on the team, and they just randomly go to rainwater harvesting because we understand building typologies well. So I thought there should be an organization which with a more professional approach, we can give consultation and then do also implementation. This is on a commercial basis, but there is a lot of places, like I said, in the public spaces, we have to handhold water conservation and take up lakes and wells, and that even those need help. So that's where we figured out that we need an organization which can take up and do both. In the commercial sector, whatever help is required, you should be able to do that. And also in the public spaces where there is no funding, how to outreach, get funding, and how to partner with several other NGOs and help implement or get a roadmap done, to get a DPR and create a action plan of sorts and make this happen on ground and chart out a plan. So the Rainwater Project just does that. It's part of the work is social and part of the work is in the commercial space also, because both these areas need help. And we can't leave out one and do the other. So we're doing both, and it's been running successfully, I would say. And we've been able to pick up 3 step wells in the last few months because we are connected with community schools, and that a school came forward to take up a step well, and there is a masjid that is supporting us for doing another well. So we have a nice community connect, and also now there is implementation possible. We have all the tools, we have all the teams, and I have been running a design studio for the last 20 years. So I have all the contractors and people that can implement. And now we have a team of watershed analysts, hydrogeologists, and all these people also are on the team. So we don't need to go elsewhere to get solutions. And whatever even small homes, whatever solutions and consultation we are giving, it is a very professional proposal that we are giving them an understanding of the larger catchment and where you are and what is your catchment like and what is the need, establishing the need to do rainwater harvesting. So people are liking the consultation that we are giving, and we are giving them the drawings, we are giving them everything so that they can do it themselves as well without our help. They can just take a consultation and then implement themselves as well. So this is what we are doing as a Rainwater Project. So we are kind of integrating both the works that we've been doing so far.
Thank you, Kalpana.
Thank you, ma'am. We have next question for Fauzia, ma'am.
Yeah, I think I've read, Prashant, your question, which is there on 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment. And then your next question that is there on Atal Bhujal Yojana that you want. So yes, empowering Panchayati Raj institutions and, using them basically for carrying forward these decentralized activities is definitely something that should be leveraged, I would say, as much as possible. Because when we are saying going local, and when we are saying that we need to decentralize and the solution lies in decentralization, it is important that we definitely look at the 73rd and the 74th Amendment that is there. Coming to your next question, which is on, so probably, even Atal Bhujal Yojana is quite linked to what has been laid down in the 73rd and 74th Amendment. So you must be aware that Atal Bhujal Yojana, it was again in December 2019, it was launched, and a total budget for that is 6,000 crores, out of which 50% has to come from World Bank and 50% is going to be the central assistance that is there for Atal Bhujal Yojana. And then we have it's again, groundwater. Bhujal is, as the name indicates, is basically for augmenting our groundwater resources that's there. There are seven states in which they would like to do that. That's Gujarat, Haryana, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, and Uttar Pradesh. And of course, it talks about governance, behavioral change, water budgeting. Also, it talks about every gram panchayat wise making water security plans. So if you're looking at making water security plans, then of course you can't be planning, thinking of doing that without the support of the Panchayat Raj institutions which are there. In fact, a recent training program when I was doing, I did teach these Nehru Yuva volunteers resource mapping at the ground level. So how do you go to a village and you do a resource mapping? And why is it important to do a resource mapping? Why is it important to understand what already exists in a village? So water security plans, then also it talks about IEC activities. So a lot of these things are the Water User Association, monitoring and disseminating of groundwater data, which is there. So again, a lot of these things which probably we have seen a different version of it in the Ganga Action Plan, in the Yamuna Action Plan. We have seen again that happen in the Namami Gange Plan. So crores and crores of rupees we have used for all this. So this is another one for 6,000 crores. They have, again, some sporadic effort. It all depends a lot on the leadership in the local place, the district collector, the local leadership matters a lot. And then, of course, a driven sarpanch who would really take it forward to implement it. So again, people-centric approach is what they have also been telling about. Not much of outcome has come. This is there till 2023. That is being it's planned from 2019 to 2023 that they want to use it. Under that, of course, all these abhiyans that we have, Jal Shakti Abhiyan, which also talks about groundwater recharge. So a lot of abhiyans which have been taking, like 2019, there was an abhiyan, and then the Atal Bhujal Yojana was launched. We are again planning for a Jal Shakti Abhiyan from June to December, June to November, where we try to harvest rain during June to September in North India and October and November in South India, so that we are able to sort of raise the level of groundwater. We are promoting schemes like participatory irrigation management, micro irrigation. Government is, of course, giving subsidy on micro irrigation. Solar, you have now solar irrigation pumps which have come in. So there are schemes which have been there, but how far those schemes are going to be used, or how much the uptake, what is going to be the uptake, will depend on how much hand-holding the extension workers are able to do of the local community or of the people who are there. Because most of these schemes, you want to avail, or any policy that you want to access, everything has now become online. And people aren't all that, online literate to really access those. Even on crops, they are telling poly houses that are getting promoted. They're talking about crop changing of cropping pattern. So a lot of things are being spoken about, which is there. But I would say the grassroots implementation, when you look at, is still very low. But I would say we don't even have a good baseline for that. We know that most parts, like Northwest India, is water scarce. Southern part of India is water scarce, or the groundwater depletion, overexploited zone, which are there. So those things we know, those mapping is there. But in terms of doing a real baseline before even going ahead for implementation. That's completely missing.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Claudia. May I request Bavaskar, Rausa Bavaskar, the founder director, to give his concluding remarks?
Ma'am, there have one question for Jayesh
But do
PK.
we have
She wants to ask something.
But do we have the time for that, Aruna?
If she wants to ask, we can.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
have-
Thank you so much. I'll make it very, very quick. I
Yeah.
just had a proposal. You know, when we talk about the fact that many people are not conscious about using water, my question was that do we even teach people? Because in my building, I always tell my maid to close the tap when she's not really washing, and she gets a little agitated saying, "Ma'am, you're the only one in the building who's bothered." I say, okay, let me even try. So I was considering that is it possible even to take on educating at the school level what it means to preserve water, save water, because water saved is water, created. And this is one thing. See, for example, nozzles which can be used in homes. And another question, I don't want the answer right now. There's no time. We can always interact later. Is there a study of consumption per head in terms of how rural people use water? Obviously, it must be very different from how urban people use, just because of availability. I think both the speakers did mention it in different ways, but I was just thinking that we should really bring out a study which shows the comparison, and it kind of can drill into our heads that how much of water we take for granted. So these are just two proposals that can water conservation be part of education school level itself. Thank you. Otherwise, very interesting talk. Thank you for including
Ma'am,
us.
just wanted to quickly tell you that now NCERT is, so I was part of the NCERT. They are making a full-fledged curriculum where they're going to integrate this in the school curriculum. That said, at Terry School of Advanced Studies, we do have a school-university network, and we aggressively do this school programs. In fact, last January, the Loreto schools and the Mary Ward schools, 45 of them from India and Nepal, we did a session, and of course for all the teachers, we did a session for them on virtual water, basically hidden water and water audit. And the teachers have already started. So we did also provide them a water audit questionnaire, and they have already started doing a water audit in their respective schools. As part of this training, we also help them learn about water audit of their homes, water audit of the schools, water conservation practices, even about nozzles, which are there, smart nozzles, which are coming up. Other adapters which can be sort of used. So that's something that we are definitely using. Yes, there is a study on water consumption both in rural and urban. So on an average, we say an urban population uses about 135 liters per capita per day. But there is a huge variation where people use even 10 liters to about 600 liters per capita per person per day. Per capita per day. And in the rural, we say it's about 70 liters. That is there again, which ranges again from the same like 30 to 70 liters, 10 to 70 liters per capita per day. So, but there are studies on water consumption.
That's encouraging. Thank you so much. This is just the beginning. Maybe we need to interact much more.
Yes, ma'am.
And yeah, from my friend Saraswathi, I would just like to know more from her later. Thank you.
Ma'am, there's one more question. How can we make senior citizens a part of initiative to conserve water?
I think Kalpana Ramesh ma'am can answer this question.
Yeah. So we do have a lot of senior citizens come forward when we do community level work. They do come forward and they are already participating. Again, they need to be educated. Yeah, somebody needs to mute, I think. Yeah, so they are already coming forward. Surabhi, yeah, thanks. So there are a lot of people already coming forward to do, but then they have certain limitations. They cannot come and attend all the meetings, but they can definitely empower in their own communities. They can talk to a lot of people and bring that change within the communities. All we need to do is create a lot of workshops for them, bring them forward and give them these tools, hand kits, and also give them these rainwater harvesting. We are creating some digital booklets and also water audit tools, very simple water audit tools where they can understand what is the water that they're wasting, because they sit with their community then, and then they try to build that change. So, and also involving them in school awareness in schools. We do that quite a lot, because we think that children are the most, out of the box thinkers, and they are talking solutions. They never talk problems. You talk about a problem to a child, within 10 minutes he will come up with a solution, but he will never harp on the problem. That's the difference between elders and kids. And a lot of people, if you have the senior citizens who are already educated in different fields, and they come from several jobs, and if they are empowered in a certain way to work towards water conservation, they can go and talk to schools, they can talk to neighboring communities, they can talk to people who are coming to temples, or mosques, masjids, and churches. They can sit and have these conversations on water, and they can empower people. I think they can do a lot more. All they need is little bit empowering them and educating them, and they can really be involved, and they can work with their limitations.
Okay. Thank you, Kalpana.